Hi guys, Sean back with another Pirate Mod video, and today we are going to be fabricating a custom reservoir made out of acrylic. We're going to be mimicking this design. This was my initial design and I'm going to make a few changes to it. So we will be mimicking this. One of the first things that I needed to do to make a change was this top plate here is made out of a 3mm thick acrylic, and it's a little thin for the threads on the fittings. So I got myself a 3/8 inch thick piece of acrylic that I'm going to use for the top plate. And the first thing we need to do is draw the outline of our reservoir here. And this is the acrylic tube that I use for the reservoir, and we'll just place that on there, and with our Sharpie just trace around. Pretty simple stuff. And so there's our circle for our reservoir. Now what we need to do is find the center of this circle. So to find the center of this circle, we'll just make a line, make two lines anywhere, it doesn't matter, they don't have to be centered or anything. So just make two lines, and then from each corner of these lines you draw a smaller circle. So we'll just outline this to help us get our smaller circles. And I'll do this for both sets of lines that we drew. I don't think it has to be like very precise, but you kind of get the idea. Oops, I kind of slipped there. So now what we do is the top and bottom circles intersect, and you just connect the line here. And then these two circles connect the intersecting lines like so. And this is our center point. And we'll go ahead and check that. This is a 4-inch cylinder, so we should be 2 inches on each side. That's 2 inches, 2, 2, and 2. So this is our center section, and that will give us a reference point on where to drill our inlet port. So I will go ahead and get set up for the bandsaw to cut this circle out, and I'll be back with you in a couple minutes for step 2. Okay guys, we're back at the drill press, and we've got it all set up, clamped down and ready to drill. I've got a 1/4 inch drill bit specifically for plastic chucked up, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this 1/4 inch hole here. Let's make sure it's lined up properly. There. Oh, well, it'd help to plug it in, wouldn't it? Let's try this again. Let's take a look at what we got. Perfect hole right in the center. So we'll go ahead and we'll get to continue on in just a few. See ya. Alright guys, we're back at the bandsaw. We're going to cut another circle. Because the battery, or actually the storage capacity on my memory card went out when I was filming this section, so I'm going to refilm this section so that you can see me cutting out the circle. So I basically did the same thing. I made a circle, found our center, and I'm going to be starting to cut. circle. As you see, it doesn't have to be perfectly round because we are going to be sanding this down and polishing it to a perfect circle. So I'll come back with this next part soon. Thanks. Alright guys, Sean back again, and we're going on to the next part, and we're going to be smoothing out the circle that we had cut out earlier, and it's got a very rough edge from the saw. So what we're going to do is, I got this little drill adapter for a drill, and I'm going to put this 1/4" bolt through here with a couple lock washers, and we'll tighten that onto this bit, chuck it up into our drill, tighten it up nice and snug, and then we're just going to go through the paces with sandpaper. Got a foam pad, some sandpaper. We just kick it on. I think I'm running it at about 800 to 1000 RPMs, maybe a little less, maybe 750. Going to keep at that until it's nice and smooth. And I went down, the base sandpaper was a 150 grit, and then I moved up to a 400 grit, then an 800, then 1000, then 15, and then finally 2000. And you end up with a nice polished edge. I hope the camera picks that up nicely, but yeah, it's a nice polished edge. And it'll look really good when I attach it to the reservoir. So we'll come back shortly, and we'll start working on the tube section. See you soon. Alright guys, we're back for the next part. This is the prepping of the tube section of the reservoir, and I've got my bandsaw set up. The fence is about 1 5/8 inches away from the blade. And unfortunately, this bandsaw has a cut of only like 3.5 or 3.75 inches, and our tube is 4 inches, so we can't just go straight through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the guide, and I'm going to set the tube in there, and I'm just going to rotate it and let the blade cut as I rotate it, and you'll kind of see what I mean as I get on to it. So let's go ahead and get started. Put this in here like this. And that's it. Got a fairly straight cut, and we'll sand this down and prep it, and be ready to attach it to the top that we made here shortly. So we'll start prepping that, and we'll come back soon. Alright guys, Sean back again, and now we're here. We're going to start prepping the tube piece for the welding process. So basically that's just going to be a whole lot of sanding to get all those saw marks out. And what I got here is I got a piece of sandpaper. This is again the 150 grit, flat on the table, and I also have my orbital sander with 150 or 200, I'm not sure exactly which one it is. But we'll just start with this, get it as close as we can, and then we'll finish it off with the flat piece on the table, and then we'll make sure it's nice and flat, and we'll be ready to bond. So I'll go ahead and do this, and I'll just do it for a second on video, and then I'll do the rest off video since it's going to be kind of boring and loud. So here we go. Again, forgot to plug in my stuff. It's always a good safety practice to leave everything unplugged when you're not using it, because little kids like to come up and push buttons. So, and I've got 2 little ones, so I know all about it. So here we go. just continue doing that until our surface is nice and flat, and we'll be ready to bond it. So when this is ready, I'll come back. See you soon. Alright guys, we're back. I prepped up this edges, and I don't think the camera is going to be able to pick it up very well. Let me see if I can get a focus on this. So, got the edge nice and flat. It's hard to tell, but you get the idea. Nice flat edge on both sides with the orbital sander, and then the flat piece on the table. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test how flat the piece is. And what I got is I got a piece of plexiglass sheet. It's nice and flat. It's on the table. Set that in, and then you just got to get in there and spin it slowly, looking at the edge. And you're looking for some high spots on the actual tube. And if you see any high spots, take it back to the sander, sand it down a little bit more, come back until it's nice and flat. You don't see any high spots, because if you see any high spots, it's not going to weld properly and you're going to get leaks. So this is like one of the most important steps to be sure that this is flat, because the cylinder, the top and the cylinder are going to meet together, and if it's not flat, then you'll never get it to seal. So we just do this until we know that it's flat, and then we'll clean up the cylinder with some polishing compound. Make sure all the blemishes on the inside that we don't want to see are gone. Like this piece right here has a little bit of a scratch right here on the inside, so I want to try to take that down, make it nice and flat and clean, because once this thing goes together, there's no taking it back apart. So I'll get to that, and then I'll come back and we'll continue on. Alright guys, we're back, and we're going to start polishing the inside of this tube section so that it can be nice and clear with no scratches or blemishes when we get it all fit together. What I got here is some Novus number 2 fine scratch remover and an old sock. So what I do is I just put a little bit of Novus on the sock and rub it in. So just come in, get all the way around the inside, polish it just like you would be polishing anything else, a car or whatever. So we just run this all the way through, see how it goes. Get yourself a microfiber cloth, clean it out, and then take a look. There was a blemish somewhere, and we'll see. Oh, there it is. Still a little bit there. We can't get it out. It's a little bit too deep for the fine polish remover. They do have some different levels of the Novus, but the only ones I have right now are the cleaner and the fine scratch remover. So what we'll do is we'll take some 2000 grit sandpaper, and we'll just run it along the inside edge here just to try to get that scratch. Let me see if I can get a better view of this scratch so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. Let's see, where did it go? I'm not sure if the camera's going to be able to pick that up or not. Kind of. It's a blemish right there. You can almost see it in the camera. So we're just going to take the 2000 grit sandpaper, sand that down a little bit, and see how we get. So you don't want to go too crazy with this stuff, because the scratches could be hard to get out. So just take the edge, rub that section down. I can kind of still see where the scratch is. I sure hope this is focused correctly, because I'm not going to redo this section. So we've got that filed down, sand it down a little bit, and then we'll throw some more of the polishing compound on there and see how it looks. So for these final finishes, if you got some minor scratches or whatever, 2000 is not too bad to use. I wouldn't go anything really under that. 2000, maybe 1500 for a really difficult scratch to get out. But if you make some deep scratches in this, that polish is it's gonna be very difficult to polish that out. So you just want to be very careful with the sandpaper if you have to use it. And let's see how we did. I think we got it. So yeah, I think it's good enough. I don't really see it anymore, so we'll clean it off. I always just use some good old Windex to clean it up. And there we go, we're ready to install. So I'll come back in a few and then we'll get this ready to weld on. See you. Alright guys, time to prep our base. What we want to do is we want to get our fill ports drilled out and tapped before we get this attached to the tube. So we'll go ahead and do that. I am marking where I'm going to drill my holes. Again, I want to make a parallel line, or actually I want the ports to be all in a line, and when it's mounted I want the ports to go straight up and down. So the outlet will be on the very bottom, the inlet will be in the middle, and the fill port will be on the very top. And of course it's rotatable, so you can make it up or down. Doesn't really matter which end is up, is what I'm trying to say. So our ports are going to be 1.5 inches from each other. I went ahead and measured it already and marked it, but you know, I just 1.5 inches from the center, and I marked those. And then I've got the punch here. Now the only reason why I'm using this punch on this material is because it's so thick. If I was to put this onto like the 3mm, I might damage it, so I wouldn't put this on the 3mm. I wouldn't punch it like this. I would just mark it and then drill it. But because this stuff is so thick, I'm pretty confident that I could punch it without really messing anything up. So we'll just do that on both ends. And then we'll take this back over to the drill press and get those all drilled out. So be back in a second. Alright guys, we're back at the drill press and we're going to go ahead and get these holes drilled out. I've got it set into place, position where I want it, locked down with a clamp. And I'm running my pilot holes with this 1/4 inch drill bit, and then I'll step it up to the Big Daddy. This is a 15/32. That's the closest I could find to the size that you need for a G 1/4 tap. So go ahead and get started on this real quick. You just grab my safety glasses and we'll go ahead and get started. Get the other side. Make sure we're still lined up. We can adjust the table if we need to. Okay, there we go. One thing you guys need to remember, if you're going to drill in plastic, you want to be running it at a low speed. Right now I am running it at, let's see here, I'm running at 780 RPMs. Alright, we're back. We're set up with the bigger drill bit. We're clamped in and ready to go. So we're done here, and we'll make an adjustment. Alright guys, we're back and we got our holes drilled out and now we're ready to tap. So I've got set up with the tap, and basically what we're going to be doing is threading this by hand, and it's just a slow process. Do it by hand, nice and slow, so that you make sure that you get these threads in there nicely. And when we're done, we can just back it back out. That's not all the way through, but what I found is easy is when I get it started, I can take it back up and finish it by hand without being attached here. So let me show you. We've got our threads started. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this by hand, turn it all the way up until it's nice and loose, slides onto the tap easily. And you can feel it when it breaks, like when all the threads are cut properly, because it'll thread a lot easier. Okay, we are all the way through now, so we'll just do a couple more turns. You guys probably can't see nothing with my hands right now, but I think you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and take this off. That screeching is probably pretty annoying for you too, to sit there and listen to. So let me get this off. And let's see if we can get a good view of those threads that I cut. You can kind of see them in there. And let me grab a fitting and we'll thread it in and see how good it looks. So fitting went in there nicely. So we're threaded. So I'll go ahead and finish up the rest of these and we'll come back. Alright guys, back again. We're ready to weld the top and the cylinder together, and what we got here is some weld on 4 for acrylic. This stuff sets really fast. It's really thin like water, so you don't have much working time. So once you set this, it has to be perfect, otherwise it's trash. So I've got my cylinder set up evenly in here. There's just a slight lip around, and I'll go ahead and start this. Squeeze out some of the air, invert it, make sure you don't get any drips. You don't want this to drip onto your acrylic. So what I'll do is make sure this is not going to move on me. Just run it along the edge like that. Apply a little bit of pressure for a few seconds, and it will be done. If you spill any of this stuff on the acrylic, don't wipe it away. Just let it evaporate, and it might leave a little bit of a stain, but you will be okay. And if you try to wipe it away, you're just going to ruin your acrylic. So this is pretty much done. You can see it works really fast. It leaves a nice clean weld, and you can usually look into the edge and you can see where it bonded to. So we'll start thinking about how we're going to baffle the internal chamber, and then we'll get the back plate, the back piece fabricated and welded together. So get back to here. Okay guys, I'm back. I just kind of want to share some thoughts on this baffle system that I'm going to make. I'm going to just, I'll draw a little diagram to kind of show you what I'm doing, and then I'll discuss a little bit more. Basically what I want is, this will be the basic shape of the reservoir. I want a baffle system that'll be something like this, and it creates a zigzag flow. That could help with the vortexing and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've already measured the internal depth of this at 42 millimeters. So I went ahead and set up the bandsaw with the fence at 42 millimeters to make these straight lines. And we'll go ahead and move over to the bandsaw, and we'll start cutting some baffles. Okay, here we are, we're ready to go. I'm just going to cut this long thin piece 42 millimeters, and then I'll be using that as the baffle. So let me just grab my glasses and we'll get started. It's not a very straight edge. Let me see what I can do about this. I will be back in 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I didn't want to use that piece because that's not a square edge. I don't want to have to do it twice. So I got myself a new sheet, a new piece of scrap here that I'm going to use, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so this will be the basic width of our baffle, and we'll cut these to size and see how they fit. Be back in a couple. Okay, so I set the bandsaw up at 3.5 inches, and we'll go ahead and set this back up. And we will cut this off. Let's do another one. Okay, so these will be our baffle pieces, and I'll come over here and see how I might fit these. Alright guys, back. I got the baffles made up, and I made a little template here for kind of like a jig so that I know where I want to put the baffles. I beveled one edge. It's going to be kind of hard to see. Beveled one edge to try to match the contour of the internal section, and they're going to kind of sit in like so, and it's going to be really difficult for me to glue these in with only myself. I think I'm going to need to find an assistant to help me, just so that I glue it straight, or I weld it on straight. So, but that kind of gives you the basic idea of that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to show that video process because it might be a little bit too tight and we might have too many hands in the way anyways. And it's bad enough that you don't see much because my hands are in the way. So I'll come back and I'll show you how the progress is, and then we'll get started on shaping the backplate. Okay guys, I was able to tape this up, stand it up, so that way I can try to get this done on my own. So I'll try to do this on camera for you guys so you can see the process of the welding. So it's actually pretty simple. I'm gonna need my other hand, so bear with me 1 second. Just let it set for a minute and we will be good to go. And once it's done, I'll come back and show you guys. Okay guys, the baffles are in. As you can see, they came out pretty nice. They're zigzag pattern. Let's see if I can bring you in a little closer here, get a better look. It's not too shabby. There was a little bit of movement on the top one, but it's not that big of a deal. This end here didn't quite seat flat, but like I said, it's not that big of a deal. The internal section doesn't need to be watertight. It just needs to help direct the flow. So we'll get this finished up maybe tomorrow and test it and see how it works. Thanks. Alright guys, we're back. Now I've got the basic outline of the piece here, and I'm going to cut it out with the bandsaw. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll just film this process so you guys can see. So you guys get kind of the basic idea of what I'm going to do, so I'll go ahead and finish this up and come on back. Alright friends, I'm back, and I just wanted to show you, I got the base plate all fixed up, got it polished. It was kind of a difficult task because this one had to be polished all by hand, couldn't use the drill. Okay guys, I'm back. I am all ready to make the final weld. I've got my piece set up. Cleaned it thoroughly inside so as not to leave any smudges or fingerprints or anything, because once I seal this it won't come back apart without destroying it. So I will go ahead and start the welding process. And I think that'll just about do it. We will let that cure overnight, and then we will do our performance tests tomorrow. Thank you, and we'll come back soon. Okay guys, Sean back. We finished up the reservoir project with the zigzag baffles in there, and I just wanted to show you guys the finished reservoir and kind of show you the performance test. It's still leak testing, but so far it's been a good 4 or 5 hours, no leaks. Right now it's hooked up to the pump, running at 3. This is at number 3, the third setting. So I will go ahead and I'll turn it all the way down first. So this is all the way down at 1. You can see that the water is fairly calm in there, no big issues. This is 2, not much of a change. Back to 3. You can see there's a little bit more movement inside of the reservoir, but no major problems. There's 4. And you can see more turbulence, but still no air getting to the outlet or into the pump. And this is turned all the way up to 5. You can see there's a lot of turbulence in there, but it all stays on the side of the reservoir, and it's not really getting to the outlet. Of course, it does stir up the water a little bit, and there is some bubbles getting through, but nothing that big of a deal. And we have to remember that this is just the pump and the reservoir. There's no blocks or radiators in this loop yet. So once I get some more components installed in the loop, everything will run very nicely. This is back down to 3, and we will let it settle and continue our leak test. Overall, I'm very happy with the design. The zigzag baffles I think worked out really well. And I'm going to go ahead and conclude this project, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little video sequence I did making this custom reservoir. And hopefully I can start making some more videos for you guys, and see you soon. Thanks.